Thank you everyone for joining this morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone. We'd like to welcome you to our Oscar Success webinar featuring Janam, Past Creator by Fobi and Fobi. My name is Dev Seidel. I'm the Director of Marketing at Fobi, and I will be your host today. The topics of our discussion will be as followed. First, we'll start with an overview of Janam, Past Creator, and the combined technology between the two companies. We'll then look specifically at the Oscar's pain points and the implementation that these companies work together to solve. And then we'll finish off with the future of Janam and Past Creator and the blue sky opportunities that come from this great relationship and partnership that the companies have built. During the discussion, please use the Q&A questions located on the bar below. So those are the Zoom tools. You'll be able to submit questions, and we'll have a section at the end that we'll be able to ask the panelists and discuss. Before we get into that, I'd like to introduce our three panelists. So we have Rob Anson, CEO of Fobi, Harry Lerner, CEO of Janam Technologies, and David Spohr, Managing Director of Past Creator. Welcome. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and just open it up for everyone. We're going to use this more as a roundtable discussion. So the flow of it is I'm going to be asking a few questions and moving through kind of the implementation and those points that I talked before, and allowing our panelists to discuss it so the viewers can have a chance to really understand how this implementation works and what the success of this technology is. So I'm going to start off here. Harry, first of all, welcome. Can you give us an overview of Janam, how the company started and kind of what they do today?
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you for setting this up, and hello to everyone. So Janam was founded in 2006 to support a sizable population of the market that was running the Palm operating system. Not sure anyone remembers that, but this kind of represents a theme in the creation and success of our company, in that in a world where platforms and architectures and operating systems are constantly evolving, changing, where hardware vendors are forcing, in many cases, upgrades or replacement, we provide investment protection and peace of mind, in fact. So offering the no sacrifice in the speeds and feeds of devices at the highest level of quality, with long-term support that's expected, so that customers aren't forced to migrate on anyone else's timetable. They can migrate on their own at a far more affordable cost than what they might have spent otherwise. And that became thematic for us as we grew. So now fast forward 16 years later, we are a leading provider of rugged mobile computers and mobile and contactless access solutions for businesses of all types and sizes across multiple industries, including retail, healthcare, transportation, logistics, hospitality, sports and live entertainment, among others. And I would add by saying two significant global technology trends are what are currently driving our business. First is paper to digital, and then secondly, and more recently, barcode to digital wallet. The first one has been occurring for years, the paper to digital transition, because enterprises recognize now clearly the benefits to themselves and to customers by converting their paper-based processes to leaner digital applications. The second transition of barcode to digital wallet is still in its infancy. Part of why this is such an exciting topic for so many of us, but it looks to be just as momentous a change as that first one. And currently, it's not an either-or situation. Our customers require excellence in both technologies, both the scanning of barcodes as well as the reading of digital wallet tickets via NFC. That is where we position ourselves today.
Perfect. Thank you, Harry. And David, I'm going to move over to you next. Can you first of all give us an overview of what is a wallet pass? I'm sure some of our listeners haven't had the experience of using a wallet pass. And then who is Past Creator? What was the start of Past Creator? And why is there such that close investment between Fobi and Past Creator?
A wallet pass in general is usually a digital representation of a physical card, which means it's anything from an event ticket to a voucher, store card, and a lot more. We also have a lot of use cases in the insurance industry, obviously, that some of the people might already know. And the important part to wallet passes is that they are dynamic. They can be updated. they are automatically shown by using geofenced push notifications at the right place at the right time, show you the right information exactly when you need it without consuming space in your physical wallet. And they work globally. So it's pretty simplistic, but you can do a lot with it on the other hand as well. And Pass Creator is a scalable SaaS solution that was founded 10 years ago already. We've been one of the first companies working with wallet passes globally, and have been doing that ever since. We grew to a certain size even before the acquisition by Fobi, and that was obviously accelerated after the acquisition by a magnitude. And the why we have invested in wallet passes is we believe in it. We believe that that we're still early, despite doing it for a decade now, and the success that we have speaks to it, I guess.
Great, thanks, David. So kind of the first big question here and topic that I'd like Harry and David to discuss is, what is that relationship between Janam and Pass Creator? Why is this so important in the market? And why do we see this as being a success carrying forward? Harry, if you would like to start talking on that topic.
It's a pretty exciting world out there that is changing rapidly. I think everyone realizes that. But if you think about it, people are now more likely to forget at home or leave at home their wallet than their mobile phone. So the mobile phone is coming with you wherever you go, in many cases at the expense of other things. So with that, mobile wallet adoption has exploded in the last 2 years. And this is driving, increased demand for easy to use, enterprise ready mobile wallet readers that can thrive in challenging situations, environments at an affordable price point. In our case, we face a situation where enterprises love the hardware, they love the support we're providing for the most advanced NFC features, but they're asking, when they ask us for a simple, robust pan-industry application for NFC passes that would cut across all vertical markets and bring out the best of the hardware, we actually don't have too many answers. So, many customers using our devices for these applications, but if an end user doesn't have an existing relationship, they're generally stuck. And now with this relationship, we can introduce Fobi and their Pass Creator product as a turnkey way of, in combination, delivering on the promise of this solution. So, I don't want to take too much of the time. I'm sure Rob can build on it, but we view this partnership as vital because, as I said, we've got the access to this cutting edge, super capable hardware at a very affordable price point. Yet we need Fobi's assistance to kind of bring out the best of the hardware, bring out its full capability.
And for us, it's basically the same thing, just reversed. Janam closes a gap for us as well. We are very good at making it easy to customers of all sizes to start and manage wallet pass campaigns. But Janam really provides a rock solid scanning solution for both NFC passes, but in our world, not just NFC passes, but also barcode based passes. And to be working with Janam is really great. They are very responsive. We have a partnership to really improve the apps that we build and run on the Janam devices that work to redeem and validate wallet passes. And I think the Oscars is a great example that proves that we can really support the best of the best.
And Rob, anything to add from you? We'll talk about the Blue Sky outlook at the end and specifically about the Oscars coming up, but that initial relationship between Janam and Pass Creator, what was your interest there?
For us, we're always looking at user experience from an operations standpoint, and for a fan and attendee or customer, for a lot of the use case that we've deployed here with NFC and barcode, as David said. I see this as a sort of the next evolution of fan attendee experiences. It's about seamless automation for access and entry. It's about a digital credential storage and usage. And then really from there, as Harry kind of alluded to, it's once you're in the door, I think where we've seen with our technology, it's interoperability, which we provide from an experience level. It could be game day promotions, and which all stems back to us as a data first company. it's that reporting compliance and automation that we provide here. And what I've seen, obviously, great working with Harry and the Janam team is, I'd say, the simplicity, if you will, of the product. It provides seamless connectivity and use for us, and they're very supportive of the Oscars and other projects that we're looking to launch here.
Great. And let's move into the Oscars now. So Rob, kind of how did that relationship with the Oscars come about? What was kind of the outreach, and what was that initial discussion with it? I'll let David and Harry talk a little bit about what the implementation looked like, but from a business standpoint, what does that relationship with the Oscars look like?
Well, it's much like everyone else. They're looking to provide a secure digital credential access point for their attendees. And in this case, there was a couple different after events as well tied to the implementation here. But really, it's for us, once again, and our customer base, it's about seamless access. And this is what this provided today, was a digital ticketing solution that enabled them to provide sort of a next level experiential process, but provided them, as you see in the numbers, a very quick and automated means to getting people through, eliminating the bottlenecks of verification of, as Harry said, palm scanning technology. NFC is definitely the way of the future. And when we start to look at what that was for this event, it was a big success of introducing this at a very high profile level.
And what were kind of their initial high level pain points that they were looking to solve?
Digitization, of course, verification, access and entry, and permission-based, location-based level. There was a lot of course, integration work done for this project. And once again, it's a hat off to our engineering team, working with David and Alex, of course, in Germany, provide a fully integrated solution that went off without a hitch.
Great. And let's move on to now the implementation part. So a little bit more technical. David and Harry, can you give us, I guess, an overview of, we touched a little bit on the combined technology, but what was specific for the Oscars that was developed, and what did that kind of user flow look like? So we know we had a bunch of celebrities coming to check in. There were a bunch of other staff that were using this as well too, as Rob had mentioned, for multiple locations. So first of all, what was that implementation look like? And then what did the actual user flow look like for the celebrities?
Sure. I mean, what we first of all did was developing an update for our smart scan app that's serving the pass-created customer base already, and making it compatible with the Janam devices to make sure that we can offer a robust NFC scanning solution using Janam's devices for the Oscars, where we know that even with 5,000 scans within 5 minutes, that was the metric that we've tested with, that it absolutely and perfectly works. And this is what Janam and our development team built in the end. That was the initial ask. And other than that, we mostly built upon Pass Creator to provide the checkpoint solution that was in use at the Oscars in the end. One thing that we specifically built for the Oscars, they consist of 2 events, like the award show and the governor's ball that's happening after the award show. And we have built a way to basically attach resources or places, if you will, to a ticket. And in this case, depending on what ticket you bought, you had access to either only the award show or the governor's ball or both. And our smart scan app running on the Janam devices can tell the people that are validating the app, the passes by scanning the tickets, if a ticket is valid for that specific place where they are at. And this is available to all Pass Creator customers since then.
I know that's something very specific, David, that's been built out and is almost a competitive advantage of what Pass Creator offers compared to other wallet passes. Do you want to touch a little bit on just the functionality outside of the Oscars with that as well too? Sure.
I mean, as always, when we build requests from customers into our product, we try to build it generic and offer it to other customers as well. And for the Oscars, it's places, but it could also be a trade show where your ticket is valid at food trucks. You can get one meal at each food truck, for example. And we just attach these resources to your ticket and can then use our scanning app to validate and tell people if that ticket is valid at that specific resource or place. And this is really something unique. It works not just with 2 resources in the case of the Oscars, but it works with endlessly. So you can really build anything you want in that scenario.
Thanks, David. And yeah, Harry, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think David is being a bit humble. I've seen a lot of deployments. This one had some unique challenges because there wasn't even that much physical separation between the first event and the second. Let's call it what it is. The governor's ball is the second one. The software on our devices worked perfectly for what is known in the industry as secondary scanning. So very often it's not just ingress into the venue; it's within venue. There are locations, and what David is describing is an ability to fence off multiple locations and so forth. But in this case, high pressure, high stakes, because many people are trying to get onto that escalator where I stood and saw people, deployed and trained and using the device. As for the device itself, thank you for the props. It's we're talking about this, which is out of focus. But this our XT3 is built to really take a beating, so people can drop it and take it in the rain and so forth. So it's kind of ironic to see the device used by people in black tie. I think that might be a first for us. So they didn't quite subject the device to the kind of abuse that we're used to seeing. It was a pretty genteel environment, but still, it was very gratifying to see the combination of Pass Creator and the XT3, our GT1 pedestal, which into which the unit fits, providing a seamless solution for the folks attending the Oscars, allowing them to focus on other things like what we saw on TV.
So Harry, give me an overview. If I say I'm a celebrity, I'm coming to the Oscars, how is this making the ticketing process easier for me? How is it making it more secure for me? And how does it make it more flexible for the Oscars that are providing these tickets?
Absolutely. So and it's good that you asked that question that way, Dev, because the benefits are not just to the consumer, right? In this case, the attendee, but also to the enterprise that's managing the entire operation. To the attendee, it's clear. They all have their phones with them, but not necessarily. They certainly don't have wallets, and in some cases, they're not wearing pockets. So the fact that they can take that phone in hand, or their staff or assistant can take the phone in hand, and the pass is in there securely, which is a huge thing, right? So I can't pass a ticket to someone else. The chain of custody is confirmed, and that is really important in this situation. So a person approaches and there's a ticket taker standing ready with one of our devices, and the scan takes place. The benefit to, of course, the Oscars and to any of the other enterprises that roll this technology out, of course, is a very enhanced level of intimacy now with the person who's got the credential, right? Because now there's no longer, I just hand it to you, slip it to you through a fence or whatever else is going on, right? It's again, you're managing that chain of custody. We know exactly who it is, and it's down to the unique level. But overall, the key driver is really convenience. It's just it's such a convenient solution. There's no longer any fumbling or anything else. And when a solution such as ours, the one from Janam, incorporates advanced NFC, not just sort of run-of-the-mill stuff, we work really closely with the providers of wallets and phones to do this. But it's actually got the ability so that you can take the device and simply touch it to the reader without doing, the credentials, of course, having it, but there's no need to sort of thumbprint it or face identify or anything else. The convenience to customers is outstanding. And so it's a win for all, right? It's a win for the consumers who have an easy and simple and secure and safe, foolproof way of getting into venue. And then, of course, it's a win for, in this case, the Oscars, but for any other enterprise that can manage closely who exactly is on premise, how, what they're doing, and of course, as I said before, how that credential moves within enterprise, which of course, is going to continue to develop going forward.
And I'd like to add maybe the backend that powers all that, which is the Pass Created by Fobi solution, really provides venue operators a real-time data flow of people that enter a venue. So you really get that based up to the second view who is at that place, no matter if they are using a smartwatch or a phone to enter the venue. For the person entering the venue, the process gets simpler, and for the venue operators, they get a lot more than compared to using paper-based tickets, for example.
And David, what would those be? So, for example, I know some things that we looked at was the flexibility to change seating arrangements on the fly and update those live to the tickets, and then also sending a push notification to notify guests that their ticket has been updated or there has been maybe a delay at an entrance and such. Do you want to talk a little bit about that functionality that's added than just having a paper ticket?
Sure. I mean, the thing that they did is really leverage the update capability of wallet passes. So in the beginning, you even received a vanilla ticket that didn't show any information about the seating info. So it was able, they were able to change that up to a couple of minutes before the event started, even triggering push notifications. They also use different color schemes based on where your seat is, and have been able to really leverage the flexibility that the solution that we provide offers.
Great. I'm going to pull up some results here just to show the actual outcome of the Oscar. So I'd love you guys just to kind of discuss these outcomes that we saw.
Obviously, with such a high profile event, I guess it's no secret that the iOS is maybe the operating system of choice. So there were a vast majority of those devices. You just had one ticket and you could enter multiple places. We already talked about that. And that allowed us to fulfill those ticketing requirements. These 27 different types of tickets were in the end different color schemes based on seating. The passes changed as you used them. So as soon as your ticket was scanned at the red carpet, we automatically issued an update to the ticket, changing its visual appearance, so that if your ticket was checked either visually or by scanning, you could also visually know the current state of the person visiting. And I already mentioned it. We didn't build functionality just for the Oscars. We built a platform enhancement to Pass Creator by Fobi and Checkpoint that is now available to anyone. And we already started to use it in other projects. And the scanning metric is really impressive. Like 0.7 tickets were scanned per second at the peak traffic, over 1,100 tickets in 27 minutes. And that was, by the way, way below the metric that we tested with. I think I mentioned it earlier, was like 5,000 tickets within 5 minutes. So we did a lot of scanning in our office prior to the event to make sure everything works seamless, and we're happy it did.
Harry and Rob, anything to add to those results there?
Yeah, what I can say is that this is the area where we live, and I think it's important for people to understand that there are of course situations where when we go to a restaurant, we might need to scan the code, the QR code that's sitting on the tabletop to get our menu. But really, the device in our situations, the applications that we're seeking in enterprise are mission critical. There can be no downtime. We get this level of throughput, and we'd want to see that exactly the statistics that Davis is speaking to, so that the device has to remain up and work robustly. And the more, the better. Frankly, it just this device will eat those tickets up, and we were thrilled to see it function that way. And I agree that it was interesting to note as well the predominance of the iOS devices. Certainly the adoption has been most rapid on the Apple side. So that was clear to see at the Oscars as well. But it just needs to work. I think that's the bottom line. And I think that's what can be said about the software as well as the hardware. So it shouldn't be challenging. It shouldn't be rough. There's still learning curves that even the attendees themselves need to come up, right? Because not everyone knows exactly how this invisible pass, this invisible credential is going to be conveyed from phone to our device. So it needs to be intuitive, convenient, swift, and not too complicated.
Thanks, Harry. And any follow-up from you, Rob?
I think once again here, Deb, it just shows the reliability of the Janam device. 0.7 seconds, David said at the peak. Really, the operators are looking at security, eliminating bottlenecks, of course, for people. And once again, as we talk about experience all the time, security we're starting to understand is a very big importance with some of the other opportunities that we're looking at. Is these metrics here that we provide obviously give us all the credibility that the other operators are looking at as far as eliminating these bottlenecks for their users and attendees and providing that seamless flow of security.
And so this success that we've done for the Oscars has been packaged together for a ticketing platform that Fobi provides as a product called Checkpoint. So Rob will talk about eventually the blue sky outlooks of the partnership between Janam and Passcreator and all the different use cases for that partnership. But specifically for ticketing, what are we looking at the future success from this combined solution of Checkpoint now?
Well, once again, it's really about the high capacity of access and verification that Janam provides us from a front end perspective. From there, as I said, the security element is a big thing. We've got numerous use cases that we're looking at and assessing right now, where there's, we're looking at 100,000 people in attendance. How fast can we get these through the door? How do we push notifications? You said earlier, change in gate. There's a lot of velocity and operational efficiencies that come as a benefit as well from this, as David and team have pushed this live now across the entire platform, not just specific for this event here, but there's many features here. As once you're through the door, there's a lot more enhanced benefit now by providing this digital means of a communication gateway, if you will, to create an experience, to create an event, or post-event engagement.
Great. Now let's look at the blue sky opportunities, because I think we can clearly see this as a success for ticketing through a check-in and a mobile ticket and all the advantages that those bring. But what can we use? What can we use outside of that? What different industries that maybe some of our listeners haven't even thought of that Fobi is already looking at and creating relationships with? So Rob, I'll start with you, and then I can pass it over to Harry and David to discuss about how does this digital ticket now change to be implemented in a different vertical?
Yeah, there's a lot of different since this event. Obviously, we've gained a lot of exposure. David's done some other ticketing event promotion in Spain and other different regions globally that are well aligned with what we've built here and deployed. I'm getting a lot of inbound opportunities now in industry, as Harry said, in construction and commercial. Obviously, the wallet provides a means to storing and verifying credentials as far as could be first aid, WMIS. A lot of the different groups now that have reached out are looking at food allergies tied to the check-in. So once again, it's a data perspective. There's just so many opportunities as we put a lot of focus here in healthcare of late, and automation and interoperability amongst various platforms. So as Harry said earlier, it's if this then that scenario, and really it's a gateway. It's a gateway technology of getting people through the door in a secure fashion, seamless, of course, experiential from a user attendee standpoint. But then once you're from there, that's kind of the blue sky. Is we're getting a lot of interest and excitement now as to, hey, how do we integrate our 50-50 raffle draws, for instance, or how do we generate our game day sponsor activations through the wallet? Hey, how do we now generate pre-game, not just during game and post-game? So it's providing this full interoperability of experience. And once again, for our case, it's always about the data at the end of the day, and measurement and ROI, which lead to greater fan attendee experiences. And I look forward to continuing to work with Harry and the Janam team to push the envelope towards this next evolution of user experience. And obviously with David and what the Passcreator team has been able to generate interest in Europe as well.
So Harry, from a hardware standpoint, and a Janam standpoint, where do you see the success of providing Pass Creator moving you into different verticals or applications that you haven't seen before?
Yep. So we feel that first, Rob, thank you for those kind words. We feel the same level of excitement about what's going on because, and I think, ironically, a lot of this was promoted, if you will, by what occurred during the pandemic, when kind of contactless and a few of these technologies were suddenly more relevant than they ever had been before. But we see enormous opportunities and people asking for these solutions, not just in the classic sports and live entertainment, but employee, guest, and vendor check-in. We see opportunities in healthcare where you're anytime you need to self-credential, essentially, whether it's picking up a prescription or registering at a doctor's office, any kind of retail loyalty program, age verification in parking and parking security. The big verticals include ticketing, I should say transport and travel, hospitality. So we see enormous opportunities there, as well as in just straight building access, where people need to credential those who are going anywhere someone needs to be credentialed. Going into enterprise is an opportunity. So you can imagine how mammoth that is. But as we look at what we're talking about, there's no shortage of expensive, very expensive, heavy iron types of turnstiling systems and obstructive, solutions. I just wanted to kind of identify what we're talking about. This is a handheld that fits in my pocket. That's super rugged. This is the GT1 pedestal. This slides into place, locks in. This is it right here. This can be mounted anywhere for credentialing at a far more affordable price point. So the combination of what your software, Rob and David, what it brings to the table, what it brings out of our units, the fact that our units survive in such challenging environments, mission critical environments where there's no tolerance for downtime or for failure. You just cannot fail. But that combination now at an affordable price point where we can actually go after not just those folks who want to put in robust solutions somewhere, but anywhere. This could sit in every restaurant in a metropolis, for example, or wherever else. Where let's not talk about a next pandemic, but if we're ever in a situation where people need to again pull out some kind of certification, there's no reason people can't certify themselves at home, online, in the comfort of their houses, securely get it into a system, and then have it in wallet, in phone, and walk anywhere and credential themselves. So it's an enormous market. We're super thrilled to start attacking it with the Fobi team and use Pass Creator to kind of drive this again, in large part because the combination of our hardware and their software, their software. Sorry, I'm talking to the audience, but referring, of course, to Rob and David and the Fobi team. That combination now is super convenient, super easy to use, and super affordable. That changes the equation.
And we already see that. We have seen success not only with the Oscars, but with both existing customers and new business that we had in the last couple of months, where we've been using the Janam devices and they really did a great job. So what we built for the Oscars specifically works very well for other customers. We've proven that a couple of times already, and we plan to build on it.
And then David, from you touched a little bit on it there, but kind of same question that I asked to Harry. What do you see the increase in flexibility of wallet passes now having such robust and, as Harry said, light and easy to use scanning device? Do you want to touch a little bit on the NFC capabilities and scanning device capabilities that can bring to a market larger than tickets?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the end, the NFC is always very easy for end customers, but there's a certain learning curve and a need for training for people operating these NFC readers, right? They have to know how it works. And using the Janam devices in combination with our software makes that part a lot easier as well. So it allows us to basically offer or tackle other verticals that we haven't been able to address so far, because it makes NFC scanning easier and more affordable, as Harry already said. And yeah, as I said, we see that it works, and it's a great thing.
And Rob, any more points before we hop over to the Q&A section on the kind of outcome of both of these technologies together?
Well, I think, as David said, and Harry, it's the speed and agility of which the combination can provide an operation on a DIY model, quite frankly, or a managed service model, as in this case here. And it's really the agility, I would say, of it, the broad application for, yes, events and trade shows and these things, but a lot of the interest now in obviously office administration, financial institutions and whatnot. Really, it's about verified access and entry. And that right there is a very broad, obviously, classification and opportunity. So I'm very excited about to see where we end here next year.
Great, thanks, Rob. So again, just a reminder to our listeners, if you want to submit something for the Q&A, you can use the tools down below. We'll be answering questions out of there. And I have our first one started. So Harry, I'm going to direct this one towards you. How do venues prepare for a deployment like the Oscars?
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I was part of that, so I can speak to it. It makes sense to not do these things at the last minute, of course. And again, the Fobi team was brilliant at rolling this out, working with the Oscars folks and making sure that equipment was on hand. We weren't kind of up against any terrible deadlines or disasters in that way. It makes sense to leave time also to train on some of these non-intuitive technologies. So as I mentioned before, and let me turn off blur again so that I can show this. But we kind of know where to scan a barcode with a device like this, right? There's an orange button usually on the side, and then push the button and scan. And most of us are kind of familiar with how that works. But if you approach someone with an NFC pass, you might not, might not be as aware of sort of where does one read it. For example, in this case, it's right here at the top of the back of the unit. So there's a little bit of training that goes a long way. In no ways is it a blocker for success. But again, the Fobi team was working closely with the Oscars, was very adept at kind of setting that training up. So, and you can understand why. There's no room for failure at the Oscars, right? I mean, this is probably one of the most televised events out there, and you just I think Rob and I both did not get too much sleep, the night of, because you want it to go well, and it did. But the point is that there are a couple of non-intuitive elements now in this new world using NFC digital wallet passes and such. It makes sense to get some of the training in. The other thing I would say is that these devices, while the applications are running locally, the data, as Rob indicated, is critical and is essential, and everyone's watching it closely. That connects via a network, a wireless network, whether it's wireless, Wi-Fi in most cases, in some cases, and Janam has some exciting stuff coming in the cellular realm. But that connection is also mission critical. So I'd make that advice as well. The Oscars were great about making sure that they blanketed the facility. Anywhere that there was going to be a ticket taker at work, there was very strong connection to the network, which was required. And I guess David could also probably speak to what's happening technically there. But those are the two points I'd make. It's handled really well, and that's, I think, why it also went off so smoothly.
Yeah, and I maybe add regarding the network connectivity on site, it's obviously very important if you have multiple scanning devices, but we do have mechanisms in our software to support even if there's a network failure for a short period of time. We do have an offline mode that's basically able to continue scanning even if you lose connection. You shouldn't lose it forever, obviously. But other than that, the device should have a good network connection. And in terms of preparation on the software side, obviously, it's very important that venue operators understand what a wallet pass can do. We're one of the most experienced players in the market globally, and we can help them understand that. We can tell them all the capabilities and then work on a concept with them if they need that managed service approach. But also our DIY platform that is PassCreator still supports it. So we have, I guess, 95% of PassCreator customers just sign up, use the platform, and maybe send us a support ticket, but that's it. And the other 5% is really what's pushing our platform forward. And a great example of that is the Oscars. That also made sure that, for example, if you arrive on site, that the ticket is already shown on your lock screen, so you don't have to fumble around and look for it. You know that you can just tap and it's done. So that's the end user experience. And to what Harry said is like the training part for the staff operating these handhelds. That's the important part that can make or break the experience and how fast it really works.
And David, maybe you can provide some clarity on this. So somebody is asking, is the Google's new wallet a competitive product to your product?
No, Google Wallet is basically the successor of Google Pay. We supported that for years already. And we also support Google Wallet. So you can use Pass Created by Fobi to add passes to Google Wallet. So it's in no means competition. It's just a great update actually to the Google Pay app that makes it more intuitive to end users, because Google Pay, just by the name, it's not intuitive that you can also save a ticket in that app. And that's what's changed by basically renaming it with Google Wallet. Google also announced a couple of new features that are yet to come and that we're also obviously looking into supporting. But from our perspective, it makes our life easier because we have to explain less, both to end users as well as to our customers.
I support that completely. It reinforces the value proposition of what we're talking about, if anything. Right? So until now, Android phones haven't really been able to participate at the same level as iPhones, and now they will be able to. So it just broadens the net.
This is probably a question to everyone. What does the competitive landscape look like today? So what other companies are doing this? What are some major competitors to this relationship between Fobi and Janam and Pass Creator?
I don't know if you want to go first, Rob. I can briefly say that there are other providers of both of what we provide. Right, there are other providers of hardware and software. What they may not have is the proof that it actually works in a robust environment, mission critical, where, as I said before, there's no room for failure, and the affordability from our side. So there are, many solutions that are sitting in airports that aren't even being used right now, and other places. So the world is ready for us to use this, and in many cases the cost of actually running the system is extremely high, and the cost of buying and deploying it as well. What makes this so attractive, and the reason why I don't know that we have a peer yet, is our combination of functionality and features, both from a speeds and feeds standpoint, but from a total cost of ownership, is unapproachable. So that is probably why we're so excited about what's coming.
Yeah, I would just add to that as well that, there are other means for people to check into an event, of course. But I think as Harry kind of alluded there, it's the ability to create that experience and enhanced offering for the venue itself, not just from a data perspective, but from a marketing and corporate sponsorship, and encompassing this one tap experience, if you will, right across the operation. This is one of the key differentiators that, at least in our conversations I'm in right now, it's once we're in the door, how do we provide this interoperability of user experience, flow, and then marketing ROI? This is a key differentiator for us in this space. And once again, both on the piece of data intelligence, you're talking apples and oranges now.
And I also think if you don't have competition, you're doing the wrong thing maybe. But I think that we can offer a package that no one else can offer, especially in the combination with Harry's devices.
It was interesting. In part, it's because we're coming at it from different places, right? Because David, your Pass Creator's now got so much more applicability through Fobi. We're in a similar way in that we're a mobile computing company. We live in the world of mobility. So the versatility that we can bring to the table, because it's actually a mobile device that is not bolted on, not made of metal or cement or nailed down or screwed in or whatever, but that you can actually take this and use it for multiple purposes while also then bolting it, strapping it into this thing, is a combination that at this point we haven't seen out there. We're we're looking at strengthening our portfolio in that area as well. So I agree that the competition keeps us on our toes. We have actually made some significant inroads in the market in large part because other solutions were not working. It's very difficult. We're making it easy to use and easy to roll out, but it is actually extremely complicated what we in Fobi are doing, and that so just to make it just works, there's a lot that goes behind it, and it's pretty hard for others to do it as well so far.
That's actually a good point, because by running a mobile device, we don't have to develop specific software just for Janam devices. We can just enhance our existing products, and everyone benefits, both customers and ourselves. It costs us less to support Janam devices and running our smart scan app that is also available to other customers running regular smartphones. They have to use their smartphone camera, obviously. But if you run the same app on a Janam device, it now can use all the great and robust features that these devices have.
And just kind of adding to what you both said there, somebody's asking about the training that goes into either using it on the back end and sending push notifications or updating, and then the training of actually using the device. We talked a lot about the reason why this is so important and such a good tool is because of the simplicity of it. Maybe Harry, do you want to just touch very quickly on how quick it is to scan on the device? And David, how easy it is to update that ticket and send out a push notification?
Yeah, my pleasure. So the scanning is is nearly instant. It's one of the reasons why the technology is exploding as quickly as it is. But as I said before, and I guess it's worth mentioning because a lot of people are going to be encountering this. But we in this space, of course, know a lot about digital passes on our phones and in our wallets and digital wallet, I should say, and how to convey that and tap and go and so forth. It's not always intuitive for people who haven't used it before. So that's what we're really seeing is it's not so much the learning curve of those of us in the industry, but the learning curve of the hundreds of thousands to millions of people who are going to be using this more. And so to the degree that we can educate them about, exactly how they are going, it just vibrated. So I guess it's working. That's how quick, by the way, that's how quick the scan is in terms of time, to answer your question directly. But I think the NFC tap modality is going to improve going forward. We're working closely with several parties on making sure that gets better.
Yeah, and updating passes. I mean, it's you enter a text, you hit the button, and we take care of the rest, right? That's what we try to do right when I started the platform and founded the company that Fobi acquired. The goal was always to make it accessible and very easy, and we're even working on making it easier in the future. But it's a DIY platform, so it has to be easy. And sending a push notification with our platform is not rocket science. The training, especially for the Oscars, is obviously with that event, as Harry said multiple times, there's no room for failure anywhere, not on the back end, not in terms of using the devices. So obviously you go the extra mile for these kind of projects. But we use that learning that we get from these projects to put it back into our roadmap and improve the platform. So in the end, all other customers benefit from it as well.
This is actually an interesting one. So maybe some of the listeners don't know, but about a month ago, Rogers, a major telecom company in Canada, went down for a few days, which provides a cellular network to a lot of phones. And because of that, they had to shut down concerts and different things that needed to use a mobile device. David, you touched on this a little bit, but how does the Janam and Passcreator technology kind of move around that need to maybe have a constant cellular network?
Yeah, I mean, basically, our preferred way of operating is also having a cellular connection, obviously, because that allows us to provide the real-time insights and dashboards in the backend. But if that fails, our app can basically pull all the data it needs before the event starts and just continue to scan. So if that device loses connection, you won't notice. And once connection is back up again, we basically have an invisible backlog, if you will, of scans that happened. And we'll then upload these scans to the backend, which then will trigger an update to the dashboards and our backend. And it just works. that was said multiple times today. And the offline mode is an important piece of it. That's in some cases used on purpose because you're operating the device in an area where you neither have Wi-Fi or you don't have the time to set it up properly, or there's also no network connection, so you can't just use the offline mode and scan tickets. And it's also a fallback mechanism if something breaks.
The key here is versatility. Fobi solution works online and offline. It's key, right? So if they're no longer susceptible to what happens if the network goes down. In a similar way, on our side, our devices still come with a barcode scanner as well, an imager, right, that reads 1D and 2D code, rotating tokens, and all of that. So if someone decides to deploy something else, if there's a gotcha, and for whatever reason they want to move away from wallet, or some people have wallet, digital wallet, and some don't, we can say yes, we can. I think the ability to say yes, we can, and provide maximum versatility to customers, especially in this new and mobile space, is key.
I would just say, I would add to that too, it's the assurance that there is an online offline solution. I mean, Rogers got hit with tens of millions of dollars of loss of events and errors and omissions as a result of that outage. That online offline capability of connectivity is and interoperability is the utmost importance. It's going to be another key differentiator from us in assurance moving forward, that we do, when something does go wrong. Of course, it's always not, if, it's when. And we have that in place as a backup mechanism to provide full support.
I'm going to have this as the last question. This is a little bit more use case specific, but I think it's a good one because we have been working with this industry. So how do you see this working in the trade show industry? Would this eliminate attendees' badges? And could it include the ability for exhibitors to scan, for example, for lead retrieval as guests come up to booths and such?
I can do a quick start by saying we are, since we're in the industry, we get the ability to kind of play around with this stuff from the inside. And so we attend many trade shows. So we're already doing this and see the promise of it. That people will, again, you might not have your credential with you, but you certainly have your phone. And so the ability to sort of have a person tap their phone and we can pick up all their credentials without them ever having to fumble around for something is great. And so a lot of the companies that are hosting these events are looking at this technology for sure. I know Rob and team are also looking at it as well.
Rob, yeah, I think maybe touch on that sponsorship side too for the event, now having a mobile play on the consumer's wallet pass too.
It is, obviously, it's a very valuable piece of real estate, the phone. It's the most valuable digital signage to date, is quoting one of the large projects that we're working on at the moment. When we start to look at it as well, we do have both covered, because for those, we hear this, that, well, what if my mom and dad don't have a smartphone and whatnot? So we have that solution as well, that they can print that QR code that matches to the lanyard and the access and entry point as well. So once again, as we look at robust offerings, we check the boxes on all the various fronts for those modalities and experiences. The trade shows is one for sure that we're most definitely pursuing. There's some pretty big opportunities, I would say, from sponsorship interest and perspective, is to gaining access to attendees pre, during, and post event. Of course, communication is probably the most valuable standpoint once it's beyond access and control. Obviously, as Tahiri, I attend a lot of trade shows as well, and for the most part, usually dread that first day of the lineup of getting into it and having that tabletop stand or the handheld device there to facilitate this high velocity of access and entry points, which is great. It's also a security thing as well, as I mentioned too. There's a lot of trade shows that have expressed their problems around fraud with swapping out the QR code. I mean, there's really no way to, once you have the lanyard, there's no way to validate to who's who. It's just given out and people wander through. So it's really about security and credential and verification.
Perfect. And I think just to scoot in this last little question there, they're asking, what does monetization look like for maybe a potential client using this? And that can be an example, using the sponsorship spots on the Wallet Pass to actually use this as a revenue generator as well, not just access to your venue.
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously a CapEx cost to the hardware and to the software side and passes, but it's very minimal when they look at this. You are right. This becomes a new line revenue generator for the show. Everyone is looking for a differentiator, of course, where to sponsor. They're now looking at new innovation as one of the key. People I hear quite a bit in our calls right now from manufacturers and sponsors of stadiums, and that they're tired. They've got a lot of fatigue around billboard signage. This valuable access to first party data and consumer is really one of the key value props and points of differentiating that we're bringing to the table, and a newly efficient and innovative solution.
Just wanted to add the lead part for trade shows is actually an interesting one, because if you scan the same ticket at multiple different places, you automatically get lead lists that you can provide to the operators of the booth. So that's actually a very valid use case as well, and one that we have seen in the past. So it's just the versatility of the solution.
Great. Well, we're at time here. So first of all, I'd just like to thank our panelists. So thank you, Harry. Thank you, David. And thank you, Rob, for kind of helping facilitate this discussion. Tell a little bit more about the success of the partnership between the two companies, talk about the success story of the Oscars, and then again, all of the different output and verticals that these can be used in, that I'm sure a lot of our listeners are now very interested in, and thinking of different ways that can implement their businesses as well too. Thank you to our listeners. If you have or require any more information or are interested in any of these products, you'll be able to reach out through the Fobi website. There are different forums on different pages specific to what your interest would be, and somebody from our team will be able to get back to you and answer any more questions you might have. Are there any last words from anyone on our panel?
Thank you very much for your time
today.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Appreciate everyone's attention.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.